Two is I do think infrastructure plays a role in that. And of course, there's an infrastructure debate, and this is all about range extension. So the Chevy Volt puts their range extension in their vehicle. It has a gas tank. All electric vehicles don't allow you to do that. There's battery swap with a better place. But infrastructure is important for us from no matter which car you have. I think we believe that infrastructure is so important because of people will be nervous in the early years, and this allows them to feel that they could charge anywhere, that they won't be left out. There was an interesting study from the electricity company in Tokyo. So in Tokyo, they had some vehicles that didn't have that were electric vehicles, and they went a very short distance, and they came back, sort of 60% charged. People were scared to use them, didn't want to go out.
Right.
And then the utility decided to add some fast charging stations in strategic places around the city, and it totally changed the map where people were willing to drive.
Right.
They came back with their cars basically empty, and they didn't rarely use those fast charging stations. So it was just the psychology, and so we do believe in the early years. A lot of this infrastructure will be about range anxiety and will be about psychology and the psychology of consumers. But that's very important, because if you can't get over that hump, so hopefully if you did this in the whole city, you would have a lot of infrastructure that might not be needed. But here it is needed in these early cities to get over that. And once these are successful, you'll probably have less infrastructure as you move along, which will save the country money ultimately. So I think that's how we think about consumers. We definitely think it's so important, but we do believe that there are ways to address their concerns.
Does the coalition, are you looking beyond just the borders of the United States? I mean, does it make sense to be talking to Mexico and Canada and Germany and these countries, or are you focused primarily here in the U.S.?
I mean, at the moment we're focused here in the United States, and we have this large car market. I think we're very convinced that electrification of transportation is inevitable, whether it be a hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, or a fully electric. Over time, more and more electric is going to be part of the fleet because of fuel economy and other standards. I do think that the question is, will the United States be last? In Europe, they have some structural advantages with high gas prices. In China, they have advantages, both a little bit more command and control,
right,
as well as people who have never used a vehicle. Like you say, the consumer is a different entity, a different animal, so to speak, in the way they think about cars. And the United States has all those disadvantages. And so, we've been focused on this market. We do think it's important. We have a very big car industry. It's an important manufacturing base for the country. That doesn't mean we don't talk to other people in other places. We just ourselves really haven't branched out, but we hope to not only go down into the communities that become ecosystems, but I guess out
right,
in other countries in the world. Now, with Canada and Mexico, clearly the vehicles are going to have to be interoperable,
right,
as we do drive across the border, and it's important. So.
Right. Well, that would change the name of the organization too, wouldn't it? It would no longer be America, and there would be
Securing
World or something.
America's future energy.
Yeah, exactly. What we focused a lot here, obviously, on the personal automobile. Are you doing anything with respect to the electrification or the growth of the electrification of mass transit, public transit, as a way of moving people even more efficiently?
We haven't focused a lot on that. Securing America's Future Energy will be issuing a report in the coming months on sort of transportation infrastructure. The way we think about this is, you've got the vehicle, you've got the fuel, and you've got the infrastructure. And we've focused on the vehicle and the fuel in the past, and we as an institution have never done that infrastructure. Now, to say that there are three stools to energy security is true, but except the infrastructure one is actually smaller in the amount of savings you can get. I mean, you really do need to deal with the vehicles and the fuels. That being said, on mass transit, with electrification, we've done a little bit more with fleets than sort of mass transit. I do think as we use less and less gasoline over time, and this is something we'll be talking about, of course, that's how we fund our infrastructure, through the Highway Trust Fund.
Right.
And it is bankrupt, and it's broken. And one reason it's bankrupt is because we're driving less, and our cars are more efficient with more biofuels. That will just become worse over time. So we have to find another funding mechanism, not the gas tax, in order to fund that. And so you want to think about things like dynamic tolling, congestion pricing, things that actually fix the system at the same time as help fund the infrastructure that we desperately need in the country. So, mass transit, like everything else, it's about a cost-benefit analysis in our view. There are places where it's a great idea, and there are places it's just not economical.
Yeah.
We should focus on the places where it's the most economical, and not everyone in the country needs the exact same solution, and mass transit doesn't work everywhere. So we're for it where it works, and what issue we want is to make sure that the funding mechanisms are mode neutral, and that really you have performance standards with oil savings actually is one of them, so when we decide how to spend our money, it's both mode neutral and there's a cost-benefit analysis, so we're doing it in the most effective way.
Okay. Final question for you. What's your vision of transportation in America in the year 2030? What would you like to see it be?
I'll tell you what I like to see it be. This is not a forecast. I wouldn't go out making any investments on this.
Yeah.
I think that we will see electrification of personal light-duty vehicles, and they'll be in quantity and at scale. I mean, not everyone will have them at that point, but you will see that as the primary mode that we're moving to. I think biofuels will be much more of an algae-based hydrocarbon, whether it be algae or not, actually I'm agnostic on, but it will be a hydrocarbon-based biofuel that is the same molecular structure as a diesel, jet fuel, or gasoline, so it's drop-in. So our planes and our heavy-duty vehicles will be running on that, and then there'll be some natural gas for some heavy-duty vehicles, like I say, fleets. But really, natural gas will be used to displace a lot of coal in how we generate our electricity to then power our fleet of light-duty vehicles.
Okay, very good. Robbie, thank you for taking the time with us.
No, thank you so much for having me.